How to Win a Battle in the Middle Ages, 1000 to 1500 AD. Introduction. The Art of Medieval Warfare. The battlefield of the Middle Ages was a brutal and unforgiving place, where strategy, discipline, and technology determined the fate of nations. From the rolling hills of France to the windswept plains of England, from the scorching deserts of the Crusades to the frozen fields of Eastern Europe, medieval warfare shaped the course of history. To win a battle in this era, a commander needed more than just bravery. He required cunning, superior tactics, and an understanding of the ever-evolving nature of war. This is the story of how medieval armies clashed, adapted, and triumphed in some of the bloodiest conflicts the world has ever seen. 1. Preparation. Assembling an army. No battle could be won without a well-prepared army. The medieval commander had to gather troops from various sources: feudal levies, mercenaries, professional knights, and peasant militia. Each had their role on the battlefield. Knights and cavalry. The backbone of medieval warfare, heavily armored knights were the shock troops who could break enemy lines with a well-timed charge. Infantry, spearmen, pikemen, and swordsmen formed the bulk of the army, holding the line and protecting against cavalry charges. Archers and crossbowmen, essential for softening enemy forces before engagement. The English longbowmen, in particular, became legendary for their devastating volleys. Engineers and sappers. Siege warfare was common, and engineers built trebuchets, battering rams, and fortifications to turn the tide of battle. A well-balanced force was essential to ensuring victory. A wise general also trained his men rigorously, ensuring discipline and morale remained high before marching to war. 2. Choosing the battlefield. Great commanders knew that the right battlefield could determine the outcome before the first sword was drawn. A well-chosen battlefield provided advantages such as high ground. Holding the high ground gave archers a greater range and prevented cavalry charges from gaining momentum. Defensive positioning. Rivers, forests, and fortifications could be used to funnel enemy troops into kill zones. Sunlight and wind direction. Smart leaders positioned their forces to avoid blinding light or wind carrying dust into their ranks. A classic example is the Battle of Hastings, 1066, where William the Conqueror forced the Anglo-Saxon army into a vulnerable position through superior maneuvering. 3. Strategy and formations. Medieval battles were won or lost based on the tactical formations employed. Some of the most effective battle formations included shield wall. Used by the Vikings and Saxons, this tightly packed formation was nearly impenetrable to frontal assaults. Schiltron and pike square. Scottish and Swiss armies perfected the use of long spears to repel cavalry charges. Flanking maneuvers. A skilled commander, like Edward III at Crécy, could turn the tide by attacking the enemy from the sides. Feigned retreat. A favorite tactic of the Mongols, this strategy lured enemy forces into a trap before surrounding them. Medieval commanders had to anticipate the moves of their enemies and counter them with superior positioning and discipline. 4. The role of siege warfare. Not all battles were fought in open fields. Castles and fortified cities were the heart of medieval defense, and besieging them required patience and strategy. Siege engines, trebuchets, mangonels, and battering rams were used to break down walls. Mining and sapping. Digging tunnels under walls to collapse them was a common siege technique. Starvation and blockade. Rather than assaulting a well-defended castle, many armies simply surrounded it and cut off supplies. One of the most famous sieges was the Siege of Constantinople, 1453, where the Ottomans used massive cannons to finally breach the legendary walls of the city. 5. The role of morale and leadership. Even the best-equipped and best-trained armies could fall apart if morale crumbled. A strong leader inspired his troops through speeches, displays of bravery, and rewards for victory. Henry V at Agincourt, 1415 before the battle, Henry delivered the famous St. Crispin's Day speech, rallying his outnumbered men to a stunning victory. Joan of Arc. Her presence on the battlefield during the 100 Years' War revitalized the French army, leading to key victories. Richard the Lionheart. His leadership during the Crusades made him a legend among both Christians and Muslims. The will to fight and die for a cause was often the most decisive factor in battle. 6. Adapting to new technologies. As the Middle Ages progressed, warfare changed dramatically. The introduction of new weapons and tactics reshaped how battles were fought. Gunpowder weapons, cannons, and early firearms began to make knights and castles obsolete by the 15th century. Plate armor. The evolution of armor made knights nearly impervious to swords, leading to the rise of polearms and firearms. Professional standing armies. Instead of relying on feudal levies, rulers like the Burgundians and French created full-time professional armies. The final years of medieval warfare saw a transition into Renaissance military strategy, where gunpowder and disciplined formations replaced the old feudal armies. Conclusion: the keys to victory. Winning a battle in the Middle Ages required a combination of strategy, preparation, and leadership. A great commander understood his men, his enemy, and the terrain. He knew when to attack, when to defend, and when to retreat. From the shield walls of Viking warriors to the disciplined pike squares of Swiss mercenaries, from the thunderous charge of knights to the devastating volleys of English longbowmen, medieval warfare was an ever-evolving art. The echoes of these battles still live on in the ruins of castles, the pages of history, and the traditions of modern military strategy. The lessons of medieval warfare remind us that even in the most brutal of conflicts, intelligence and resilience often outweighed brute force. Those who mastered the art of war shaped the fate of nations, leaving a legacy that still influences the world today. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and become a part of our community. Here, you will find historical wars, inspiring stories, and unique content based on real events. If you want to see more engaging and fact-based stories, hit the bell icon to get notified about our latest videos instantly. Your support means the world to us. Leave a comment and let us know what topics you'd like us to cover next. Raising hands fire. Bell subscribe, share, and help us bring these incredible stories to the world.